Very good evening to everyone. Myself, Sharath Chandra from Edureka. Let's move to our main agenda. So, first of all, I would like to say people are having question why to learn AI ML in 2020. So, we all know the huge application of AI ML. It's being used in retail domain, in finance, health sector, and there are applied AI being used in CCTV surveillance, self-driving cars. You will find AI everywhere, and AI ML is the future of technology. We also know that AI ML, it's hard for organizations to find good AI ML engineers. They are still in demand. The only challenge is they are not finding proper skills. And we all know like AI ML engineers are little highly paid as compared to other streams. This is a suitable career option for those who want to grow in IT industry in future, because this technology is still in evolving stage and will survive for quite long, and also a suitable option for those who want to do a startup or want to implement these technologies in their own firms, their own companies, to work with lower price and better precision. So we all know what is the need of the time for AI/ML, and let's move to our agenda. So agenda of today's session will be introduction to AI/ML. Then what are the prerequisites for learning AI/ML? Which programming language we should select? AI as cloud service. So why clouds learning, having some idea of the cloud service is important to build your career in AI ML. Then how certification helps, and then how we can shape by building projects and making our visibility in the market. So this will be end-to-end guide to get a start with a career with AI ML. So moving to the first slide, introduction to AI ML. So many people get confused on what is difference between AI, AML, and deep learning. These are the three frequent terms that we have been hearing in the market. So AI is a technique which enables machine to mimic human behavior. Basically, we want to provide machines human intelligence so that it can assist human in doing their day-to-day activity. Machine learning is a subset of AI which uses statistical methods and various mathematical models to enable machines to improve with experience. So what does it mean? So these days, like we all know, like there are huge data being emitted by various devices every moment through web channels, mobile devices, and our laptops, computers. So all these data are of no use unless we have an insight. So machine learning models, we feed a data after feature engineering to various pre-existing mathematical algorithms, and it creates a mapping function between feature set and target set. And when given to the real-time data, it can do some prediction based on classification or regression. So this is how machine learning is on a high level. Deep learning. Deep learning is a part of machine learning itself, but it is based on neural networks. So what is a neuron in artificial neural network? This deep learning and neural networks have been inspired by human brains. Our human brains have 100 billions of neurons every time, working all the time. And each of the neurons receives some signal from outside and processes it and provides electrical and chemical signal to other neurons, and a decision is made in our brain. Similar logic is applied in deep learning. So we have a layers of neurons interacting with each other to reach a decision. So if I can show a short picture that will help you understand how neural network works. So this is the architecture of a typical neural network where we have input layer, we have hidden layers, and then we have an output layer. Then the question arises why we call it deep neural network or deep learning. The reason is we have hidden layer. Here we have just two hidden layers. There are architectures where there are hundreds of hidden layers, and the layers get very deep, and you see there are complex interactions between each neuron, and it is high competition is required, and that's the reason we call it deep neural network. Now, having understood the difference between all three, let's see what all skills we need to build our career in AI/ML. So first is those who are having any programming language will have an edge. Otherwise, we can also learn. It's not very difficult to learn languages like Python, but those having programming language skill will definitely have an edge. Data modeling is something most of the people who have software background, they might have worked in SQL. They might understand entity diagrams. So it's important thing to have a little bit knowledge in database system and SQL, because you need to understand the relationship between various data columns and various tables to draw out your features for making a model. Secondly, like we know all these are mathematical models, so we should have some mathematical concepts. There are online material available. Those who are trying to build a career here should also have some clear picture on these mathematical areas, especially linear algebra, calculus, and statistics. There are some algorithms which are very common, like gradient descent, where calculus is used to minimize the loss function. Even neural networks loss function minimization is the basic thing. Statistics is definitely basic requirement for moving into this field, because you need to understand mean, median, mode, and all the p-values, normal distributions, those kind of things you should have an idea. Linear algebra is also an important thing to understand, because all the data are either considered as a vector or a matrix. We need to understand a bit operation of linear algebra, especially in support vector area and also in principal component analysis. Understanding of linear algebra is required. So these are the basic mathematical concepts which we need to be aware of. Moving to technical requirements. So if you go through online courses, look over the internet for how to prepare a machine learning model, people will just create a Jupyter notebook and create a model, but that is not sufficient at industry level. At industry, these machine learning projects are usually a month or 2 month or 3 month project, where we need to go through entire software development lifecycle. There may be some senior people in the group who would like to become a program manager or a scrum master of AI project. For them, it's very necessary to understand the SDLC of AI project. So there also in AI projects, we have certain steps like plan, design, build and test, deploy, and evolve. So basically, many things go in parallel as in other software development. For example, like in design stage, planning is like gathering requirement. In design step, we do exploratory data analysis, and then feature engineering and model building comes into build phase, and then deployment of the model. And then in machine learning, the model keeps on evolving. Once we deploy a model, we keep regular retraining of the model as the data expands to make it more sophisticated and more precise. So one needs to be aware of all these deployments, all this software lifecycle to work in an industry. Modularity and classes. So as I explained earlier, usually what happens, like people create a single program where they train the model and do it. So that is basic thing to understand and do, but that is not sufficient what industry is looking for. Industry is looking for someone who can make their code very modular, because of couple of reasons, and which I have listed here. So first reason is like a complex data science project has a lot of steps in the pipeline. So those who have little bit idea might understand that the first step is to gather data, then it's feature engineering, feature selection, model building, and deployments. So all these steps can't be, if we do in a single program, it will be very difficult. We need to write some modules, and if you see a typical data science project implemented in industry, it has a lot of folder structures with all these small programs addressing all these steps in a pipeline. And once we have a modular structure, this also helps in maintainability of the code, because once the model is developed, we usually hand it over to support team, and support team to maintain the code. They should be modifying only the required module, not the entire program. Most of the modules can be reused if you want to enhance or change the model or do a remodeling. So understanding of object-oriented programming is really important when we make industry level solution for our data science projects. Design patterns. So those who have background in Java development and all might be aware of the design patterns. This is not must at the initial stage, but once we go to the industry level, it is recommended to follow design patterns so that our projects are usable and it is well structured and one can understand it easily. Coming to the business requirements. One needs to have very good analytical skill, obviously, because there are a variety of roles like business analytics, even for AI and machine learning algorithms. One need to have very good analytical problem solving skills. Industry knowledge is something which is very, very important. So those who have high experience here, who have joined this session, might have worked in healthcare domain or retail domain or finance domain. Those experience can be an asset to them if they want to move to data science role, because the major challenge which people are facing right now is to find domain expertise. Unless until we know which all data can be featured and which all to be considered, it will be very difficult. Usually the data science projects are very small duration projects, and people spend a lot of time in understanding the data. This is a major part where domain knowledge is lacking. Now, even if you don't have domain knowledge, one needs to spend considerable time understanding all the data model and how the interactions are having in the data with the product owner. Unless until we have a good knowledge in data side and the architecture of the system on which we want to make our machine learning algorithm, our model is not going to work, and that's of no business value. Creative thinking. Creative thinking is something which we need to, I would say, like here it comes when we are proposing some solutions. So there are two categories of work that usually data science people get. One is driven by the client, they have some business requirement. Other is like you working in a project or you working in a company, you suggest some improvement to the processes or improvement to some of the solutions where AI and ML can be implemented. So they are like you bring a work to an organization, and that is really a value addition which anyone who is still not playing a role in data science can do. I'll give a small example here. In my organization, even a small tickets where like a port is not working or something like desktop movement used to take 3 to 4 days, and that was impacting delivery of the project schedules. Now once this was escalated and we did analysis, and we found that the major reason of delay is because the tickets are not assigned to proper queue or the proper person. So when we analyzed this, then what we did, like we proposed a solution of NLP based, where we analyzed the description of the ticket, and based on the description, we automatically, using machine learning NLP algorithms, we assign to the correct queue and the correct person, and that reduced the time of turnaround time by around 40%, which was appreciated by the organization leadership. So this kind of improvements we can suggest in day-to-day life. So here the creative thinking comes into picture. Now coming to the next slide, what are the important languages which are being used in AI ML side and what we should focus on and learn? So see, it's basically we can do programming using various kind of languages: Python, R, Java, Lisp, Prolog. Don't need to learn all of them. I think learning one of the language is sufficient. Right now, Python and R are the most commonly used languages in field of data science and AI ML. There are multiple reasons for that. Python especially, so I'm not having a skill in R, I can't speak, but R is also, I have some idea on that. But Python, I'll say, is a very good language to learn if you want to build your career in AI ML. The reason is like it has very good libraries like scikit-learn, NumPy, Pandas, and you can learn it very quickly. There are a lot of support material available online. If you are stuck somewhere, you can go to Stack Overflow. You'll find a lot of support materials and a lot of help is available online. It's object-oriented programming, and that way you can make your program modular as well. R also is a very good language. This is preferred by academicians and statisticians, mostly used in finance domain. Java, people don't feel to use it very commonly during AI side, but the only reason it is being used mostly is because it is faster. This is a compiler based language, and you might be knowing that Python and R are interpretable language, so these are a little slower. Java a little difficult to code, but in a very complex data science project, Java is sometimes used because the processing time is little faster in Java. Lisp and Prolog, these are also being used in data science area, but I mean, I haven't worked in, so can't give much comment on this, but these are the options you can explore over the internet and focus on one of these languages I'll suggest Python and R to be the best options considering the current market. So why we need to have an idea of AI if you want to make our career in machine learning and AI side? There are multiple reasons. The first reason is, see, if you move to the computer vision world where we are trying to train our videos, images, and even big NLP, text messaging, text classifications, those kind of problems, our local laptops, the laptops that we have, I mean, it's very difficult to train the models on those because of the data size and processing capabilities. Either we need to install GPU on our laptops to get this done, or we can leverage cloud services. That is the first reason. So most of the companies actually they do cloud subscription, and the most common clouds which are being used in the industries are AWS, Microsoft Azure Cloud, and Google Cloud. So even if you are skilled in one of the cloud, it is all good. I don't need to get skilled in all the clouds. And the reason why these cloud services are more important is something which I'll show more in detail. So these cloud services have pre-trained model. So see, there are certain models, state-of-art models, which are available pre-trained. If you go to transfer learning, computer vision side and learn transfer learning, these computer vision models are trained on millions of images. Our local systems do not have capacity to train on such images. We usually use those models, weights and all, and pre-trained weights based on those pre-trained models, and then we train on top of it. Also, AWS and other cloud services, they have already built some of the AI services which can be used directly. For example, I'll name some of the interesting AI services which AWS is offering. One is Amazon Recognition. So this is already, if you call these services, this is already doing object and scene detection. If you pass an image, so you can do some trial subscription and play around and go through the videos. Face comparison. So suppose in thousands of faces, if a criminal is changing their appearance, we can utilize this face comparison algorithm already model, which is already there in AWS to do that. I think we can create this kind of model ourselves as well. But many times, like since we are crunching time in implementing the AI projects, the clients sometimes prefer to use this kind of services. Amazon Lex is very good service which AWS provides for creating chatbot. We have similar services by Microsoft like Microsoft Lewis and Google Dialogflow. There is something called Amazon Texteract, which extract information from PDF file and photos, and it can give you the labels of all the images and give the nutshell of what is there in the photo or PDF file. This is also very good tool which is there. This is also AI based. Amazon Comprehend is used for sentiment analysis. So people give sentiment on various about a project. This is very much used by retailers. Of people can give their comments on Twitter and other platforms about a product, and then we can use sentiment analysis to find whether it's a negative, positive, or neutral sentiment. We usually we build a model for that, but Amazon Comprehend can do it very handy. It can also accommodate spelling mistakes and all. There is something called Amazon Translate. Translate can translate your languages from one language to another easily, because NLP sometimes it's usually the clients are multinational. People write in different languages like Spanish, German, and all. And if you want to do sentiment analysis on or any kind of NLP on their comments, this becomes very handy when we translate the language from one to another. Also, like sometimes we don't know which language it is actually written in. If we provide our those text to Amazon Translate, it will automatically find which is the language where the comment has been written, and then it can convert to English, and then we can do sentiment analysis or NLP, whatever we want. Now coming to cloud, there are also something which we should be aware. I believe there are a lot of things which is coming this, since this is an evolving area. There is something called AutoML which is also coming into picture. AutoML is a kind of automation in machine learning area. Now people ask, if this is getting automated, then what is the role of a data scientist or AI ML engineer? So that's not true. It's not going to replace AI ML or data scientist role. The vision of having AI, AutoML and Auto ML tools is to assist people in getting their job done and finding the correct model of machine learning. Feature engineering and feature selection is still something which has to be done by machine learning people, and AutoML just assist finding good model automatically, or these days like and even the hyperparameter tuning. So there we get help from AutoML. But it's not true that people keep on asking that if AutoML gets implemented, what is the future of this? This is even enhancing the scope of data scientist and AI/ML, because there are a lot of capabilities being added due to this. What I'll suggest is you can play around with something called Big ML. Big ML is something you can just register for free. There are drag and drop options to create a model if you have a data, and that is something being used in industry or data scientist level, not by recommended at the industry level, but this is a quick check of the model. So in case like what happens, like there is a client requirement and I'm supposed to build a good model, the first thing which needs to be there is a good data. Without data we can't build any good algorithm. So what happens, like this gives a ballpark estimation on what kind of accuracy we can get using the data which is provided by the client, and we can raise concern at the first instance within a day that okay, this is not going to work, you need to provide more data or less data. So Big ML, what you can do, like it's a quick machine learning model we can create, which is not very good in accuracy, but it gives a ballpark idea about the accuracy that we can achieve through the model. Now, getting a suitable certification. So if since this is a evolving technology, learning by self, people get usually distracted a lot. The reason is there are a lot of materials, and people don't know where to start, where to stop, and get this. We need some guidance on how to proceed and what are the most important aspects of machine learning and AI where people should focus and move in an organized way. So that's the reason a guided training is required. Otherwise, like most of the material you can find in web, but we get lost if we don't know. So a guided training will helpful. A certification is definitely a valid proof that you have spent time, you are specialized in that, and that also like helps in highlighting your profile to the potential recruiters. So training and certification is definitely something we should consider apart from learning it by self-learning, because I have seen people spending time and getting lost in between, and which like is they don't reach to any certain expertise. So guided training will be definitely helpful for you. So once you have little bit experience and go understanding of the model, what you should do is you should start creating a project. So doing a hands-on is the best way, and you should create a GitHub account, post your code over there. Also registered in Kaggle, I think. Once you start growing, pick up some good data sets from Kaggle. There are competitions in Kaggle which are regularly hosted. Participate there, and if you get a good accuracy, post your model over there. That will give you a visibility. Register yourself in Stack Overflow, try participating there and answer the questions and be active over there. That will increase your visibility in the market if you want to build your career in the IML side. This is how you should start with a small project. So there are codes available for small things in net. Try to learn through scikit documentation if you're targeting Python. Read documentation and then code it rather than copy pasting. Have a proper understanding. If you have more confidence, go for a bigger project, and then also try creating a modular program, and then try end-to-end steps like feature engineering, feature selection, and then modeling. And then if your accuracy is good, target there are various competitions held by Kaggle. There are many other platforms like TechGig and Analytics Vidya. Participate over there. That will give you visibility and real-time problem feel you'll get on the data and all. So that's all, I think. Thank you so much for joining. Thanks.